the only way to test would be if you went and had an you'd have to replicate the research studies where they tested stress decreasing the migrating motor complex with antroduodenomanometry. I mean, it's just kind of an insane thing. No one would do it. You'd have to go for antroduodenomanometry, which is at like 4 or 5 centers in the US. And then while they'd have to take the test and make sure you had a normal MMC, and then they'd have to expose you to stress and see if it made it go down. And the thing is, we already know it goes down because they've already done this study. And what did they do? They would wake people up they would wake them up in the middle of the night or, with heavy metal music, multiple times. They would wake them up and make them solve complex math problems. And all of this made their migrating motor complex stop, so
I've never heard that before, but that's interesting.
these were the original studies on the migrate. I remember these ones.
Yeah, these
on
are fascinating. Yeah.
on how they figured out if the migrating motor complex is affected by stress. And yes, stress turns it off. We also know that stress turns off hydrochloric acid secretion and enzymatic secretion. Stress turns off digestive function. This is something we know. So what I can tell you about SIBO and stress is that it's usually the straw, the final straw that or like the catalyst. Typically in all patients that I've ever heard about this with, they have other risk factors throughout their life, and it's the stress that is the final trigger. So it was common for me to hear patients say, I'd gather their history that, they've had food poisoning all these times, they've had this, they've had that, all these other things. But then they went through this really intense period of stress. And very often people would say, I went through this 2-week period of intense stress, like something situational, and then I got my SIBO. So I don't think of stress in and of itself causing SIBO. I think of it as the catalyst.